Today we're going to find out what scientists have established as the very limits of human abilities. How fast can we run? How many Gs can we withstand? What's the ultimate limit of human endurance?
I'm Stu, this is Debunked, and we're here to sort the truths from the myths and the facts from the misconceptions. This video is sponsored by Skillshare.
How fast can we run?
Now, this one seems really straightforward on paper. I say the name Usain Bolt, and we move on to the next topic.
After all, he holds the record for the fastest time over 100 meters at 9.58 seconds, meaning he ran with a speed of 23.4 miles or 37.6 kilometers per hour. But that's just his average. Bolt reached his top speed around the 60 to 80 meters mark, where he hit 27.79 miles or 44.72 kilometers per hour, over 19% faster. However, there's a twist in the tale. Heading back to the 1964 Olympics, Bob Hayes ran the distance in just 8.6 seconds, almost a second faster than Bolt's current world record. But Hayes set the time as the last runner during the 100-meter relay, meaning he didn't have a standing start like the 100-meter sprint. But luckily, Bolt has also run this leg of the 100-meter relay, and his fastest time is 0.05 seconds slower than Bob Hayes. Now we know Hayes officially has the quickest time ever recorded over 100 meters. But in 1964, the technology wasn't there to record his top speed. But we can work out his average. And what we do know is Hayes is 0.5% quicker than Bolt's fastest time. So we could calculate that Hayes' top speed is 0.58% faster than Bolt's speed too. Adding the fact that the cinder track Hayes ran on is judged to be 2 to 3% slower than modern rubber tracks, we could estimate the fastest speed ever run by a human is 46.09 kilometers or 28.64 miles per hour.
But could the humans of tomorrow run even faster?
Well, without wanting to sound like a communist pig, it could be a case of 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. A 2010 study found that humans aren't that effective at running, because when we're sprinting, we're actually airborne for a surprisingly large amount of time, meaning there's no force propelling us along.
A human who's really fast is on the ground roughly 42 or 43% of the total stride time. But for a fast-running quadruped, it's 2/3 of the stride time.
The fastest running quadruped can clock up speeds of over 30 meters per second, about 3 times quicker than the fastest humans in history. 4 legs means these animals have increased contact with the ground while running, so they can propel themselves along quicker. Humans are already blessed with 4 limbs, we just don't use 2 of them for running. Some people are already running on all 4s. A 2016 study looked at the fastest 100-meter times for humans running on all 4s, and found that since records of the feat began in 2008 to the setting of the 2015 world record, that time fell rapidly from 18.58 seconds to 15.71 seconds. If this progress could be maintained, the study suggested that humans running on all 4s could break the 2-legged record by 2048.
How hard can we punch?
When it comes to hitting stuff really hard, a 2005 study conducted by Cynthia Burr has given us a pretty good idea of how hard we can hit. During the experiment, 7 Olympic boxers were tasked with hitting a dummy, which measured the force of each punch it received. On average, these Olympic-level punches landed with a force of 3,427 newtons. To put that into perspective, the average human exerts a force of only 600 newtons on the Earth. The hardest punch thrown during this study was a staggering 4,471, this time equivalent to a half-ton polar bear. A similar study from 1985 involving heavyweight boxer Frank Bruno found that the future world champion could land a punch of 4,096 newtons on a suspended pendulum in test conditions. From that, the scientists involved estimated that in practice, a similar blow on a human head would land with 6,320 newtons of force. The study equated such a punch to being hit with a 6-kilogram padded wooden mallet being swung at 20 miles per hour or 32 kilometers per hour. Such a punch, or presumably the mallet, would accelerate ahead with a g-force of 53 Gs. Which leads us nicely onto...
How many Gs can we withstand?
As ever, different humans have different tolerances for g-forces. Plus, the effect of the human body is not just dependent on the level of g-force, but also the orientation of the body and how long said g-force is acting on our body. Similarly, vertical acceleration can be a problem for our bodies, as this can send your blood down towards your feet and away from your brain, depriving it of oxygen. Your brain can only handle about 4 seconds without O2 before you lose consciousness, and most of us would be out of it at 5G in under 10 seconds. Coming at it from another angle, humans have a much higher tolerance for forwards and backwards acceleration. In the 1940s and 1950s, US military experiments used a rocket-propelled sled to find out how many Gs a person could handle at a time when 18 Gs was considered the limit. The poster boy for those experiments was a colonel named John Stapp, a US Air Force aviation doctor who put himself through extreme physical punishment to prove the human body was capable of handling more than conventional scientific opinion thought possible. A lot more.
His face reflecting the strain. Colonel Stapp is subjected to gravitational pressure 35 times his own weight.
His final and most famous test in 1954 saw Stapp ride a sled that had 9 rockets on the back, capable of producing 40,000 pounds of thrust. When blastoff took place, those rockets fired Stapp to 632 miles per hour, 1,017 kilometers an hour in just 5 seconds. From that top speed, the sled came to a complete standstill in just 1.4 seconds. That deceleration equated to 46.2 G. Remarkably, Stapp was alive, but not without injury. He'd cracked a few ribs, broken both his wrists, and was rendered temporarily blind. Yet, despite his sacrifice, Stapp doesn't hold the record. That honour goes to Captain Eli L. Beading, also of the US Air Force, who in 1958 rode a rocket sled on a shorter track while facing backwards, and experienced a deceleration of 83 G for 0.04 of a second.
Beading went into a state of shock and for a time was considered to be in a critical condition. 5 days later, however, he was back at work with no permanent disability.
Beading holds the record of highest voluntary G-force experienced by a human.
For the non-voluntary record, we need to take a trip to the Texas Motor Speedway in 2003.
We're on lap 188 of the Chevy 500, and Swedish IndyCar racer Kenny Brack is involved in a crash at 220 miles per hour or 354 kilometers an hour that sends his car flying through the air and into a steel post. The deceleration, which lasted for a split second, was 214 Gs, giving Brack the record for the highest G-force ever survived by a human.
How much can we lift?
When it comes to weights, it seems like humans are already close to the limit of what they can lift. The progression of weightlifting world records hasn't stopped, but there are signs that progress is slowing down.
Today's weightlifters, including those that use steroids, are near the limit of human potential.
You see, the body tries to inhibit the amount a human can lift to prevent us from hurting ourselves when we're trying to show off at the gym. Essentially, the brain limits the number of muscle fibers that are activated at a given moment, making this limit as much of a mental problem as a physical one. Top-level weightlifters are able to lift about 1,000 pounds or 454 kilograms in a deadlift scenario, and just over half that in an overhead lift. But if we want to go beyond that, Schroeder argues that we'll need to improve our mental capacity and learn to limit the signals from the brain that prevent us from activating our muscle fibers to the max. If we can do this, Schroeder argues that we could see weightlifters improve their performance by around 20%. And given that the deadlift world record has improved from 457.5 kilograms to 501 kilograms in the last 10 years, an increase of just over 9%, it seems like we're fast approaching the limit predicted by Schroeder.
However, if we want to try and pinpoint the heaviest weight ever lifted by a human, we need to take a fresh approach.
That's right, folks, we're talking the backlift. This technique is slightly different in that it involves lifting a weight on a platform up on your back from a hunched position or on all fours. This method was used in 1993 by Canadian strongman Greg Ernst to lift 2,422 kilograms, nearly 5,400 pounds. That's about the same as an adult male white rhino, or 29 average size Americans. To give you an idea of how much difference this technique makes, the 501 kilogram record for deadlifts equates to just one female Alaskan moose, or only 6 Americans.
Stay tuned to find out the ultimate limit of human endurance. But first, we'd like to talk about Skillshare, who made this video possible.
We get a lot of questions asking about how we make our videos, and Skillshare offers classes to get your skills up to scratch with illustration and animation. We design our animations in Adobe Illustrator. You can learn how to make a character of yourself, like my Stu, in our flat artwork style with Mark Rise's fast and easy guide. We then animate our characters and assets in After Effects. Now if you're new to this, then join Jake Bartlett on his comprehensive class for beginners. Or dip into another quick guide by Mark Rise. And once you've got the basics down, learn how to rig and animate your characters like we do using rubber hose. And it's not only tutorials, but you can take part in class projects and share your work with the community of fellow creatives for support and advice. We love making our videos for you and can only do it with the support of partners like Skillshare. The first 1,000 viewers who click on the link in the description will get a free trial to premium membership, and it's less than $10 after that, giving you an entire world of learning at your fingertips. Now, let's find out,
what's the limit of human endurance?
For most of us, the idea of running a marathon is great, providing it stays just that, an idea. The reality, of course, is far more daunting and challenging. Yet, as a species, we are capable of accomplishing feats of endurance way more demanding than running 26.2 miles or 42 kilometers. Take the Self-Transcendence 3,100-mile race, which you might have guessed is 3,100 miles long, nearly 5,000 kilometers, and is the longest foot race in the world. Competitors have 52 days to complete the distance, meaning they have to average 59.6 miles or 95.9 kilometers per day. Yet 60 miles a day is nothing for some, with Camille Herron running 167.8 miles, 270 kilometers in 24 hours to set the female record for ultra-distance running in 24 hours. While the male record holder, Yanis Kouros, hit 188.6 miles, which is over 300 kilometers. And I should probably mention Dean Canassis, who has run 350 miles, over 560 kilometers, in 80 hours and 44 minutes without stopping. But what are the limits to human endurance? Well, according to a 2019 study, it boils down to a relatively simple formula. The body is capped at burning through calories at 2.5 times the body's resting metabolic rate. The RMR relates to the calories the body burns through when it is, well, resting. For most of us, burning through 2.5 times the RMR would amount to 4,000 calories per day. Now, I should point out that the body is capable of consuming calories at more than 2.5 times the RMR. For example, running a single marathon can push that to 15.6 times, and Tour de France cyclists manage 4.9 times their RMR during the 23 days of the race. The point is not that we can burn more calories when we need them, but that over time, our bodies can't maintain a level higher than 2.5 times the RMR. The study found that the metabolisms of ultramarathon runners taking part in a 3,080-mile race actually slowed down to bring them within the RMR limit. Exceeding that limit on a regular basis means you'll gradually waste away, as you dip into your own reserves of fat to make up the shortfall. The researchers also found that the body cannot process enough calories over longer periods to go beyond the 2.5 times RMR cap, so simply upping your calorie count won't be a viable alternative. Ultimately, it seems the body has to find a balance for its energy intake and usage when pushed to its limits. And this is it.
Thanks so much for sticking with us, and please click on the link in the description for your free pass to Skillshare Premium membership. If you like this video, then check out this one on a similar theme. See you next time.